A lot of times in Fortnite, the community will discuss different weapons that were vaulted to try and bring them back. And Epic Games oblige. I mean, sometimes we even get to vote for what we want back in the game. I mean, what other game does that? But there are some things that Epic have come out and just said, we don't intend to add this back into the game. These are 25 Fortnite items that will never return. Never purchase anything from the item shop without using code T5G, that is. Ha! Now that's epic. Number 25, the Azapa Tron. We all love to talk about things in Fortnite which only OGs remember, but there's one item which only a very small number of players ever got to experience. How many of you honestly got to use the Azapa Tron before it was vaulted? The Azapa Tron was a legendary sniper rifle which fired charged bolts of electricity at players unlucky enough to get caught in its sights. After being added in the version 1.6.3 patch, it was removed just a few days later. Fortnite hadn't even grown to a fraction of the popularity that it's at now. It was already a rare weapon to begin with. If you were lucky enough to try it out, consider yourself a true OG. Number 24, Brutes. Unless you've been living under a rock, there's no way that you haven't at least heard of the Brute, or as the community calls it, the mech. Of all the crazy additions to the game that we've seen over the years, the mech has to be one of, if not the absolute worst. While in the mech, you are nearly invincible, able to eliminate players with zero skill required and rotate in a matter of seconds. The problem became so out of hand that the community even got #RemoveTheMech trending on Twitter. Thankfully, Epic heard our concerns and removed it shortly after Season 10. But number 23 is the Honor Guard skin. Over the years, we've seen Epic Games participate in a number of collaborations with huge companies, content creators. One of the rarest partnerships, however, came from Honor, a phone company wishing to promote their latest device. With this, we got the ultra-rare Honor Guard skin. But the problem with this promotion is that it wasn't available in the United States, arguably one of the biggest audiences for Fortnite. Because of this, it didn't get much exposure, very few people have it, and it's unlikely that we'll ever see it re-released. Number 22. During Season 4, Epic added a new item to the game that was appropriately titled the Stink Bomb. To call this throwable stinky yellow cloud of gas unfair is a bit of an understatement. Not only did this thing deal 10 damage every second for a total of 9 seconds, you could hold up to 6 of them, all of which could be used to damage an enemy who's fully behind cover. Being hit by one of these usually meant that you've lost, as you'd be forced to lose health or retreat from your cover, and that's not even mentioning the fact that they could cause some seriously frustrating lag when multiple were thrown in quick succession. Let's just hope that Epic put these in the vault for good. No one wants to stink. Number 21. Did you know that some skins actually expire after some time has passed? No, I don't mean that Epic will just yoink it from your locker if you own it, silly. I mean that eventually the skin will be unobtainable forever. In June of 2020, less than a month from now, the Royale Bomber skin code, which was included with a PlayStation 4 console bundle, will actually expire forever. So, if you were fortunate enough to snag the Royale Bomber, consider yourself lucky because this is one of the only skins that will likely never be available again. Number 20. Not all the items that Epic introduces to the game are for eliminating your enemies. Some, such as the Directional Jump Pad, are purely for defensive and mobility usage. The Directional Jump Pad negates fall damage, as you'd expect. But in addition to that, it would also launch you in whatever direction you're facing, as the name implies. It's safe to say that Epic reworked this item into the launch pad and bouncer that we have today, but it's always interesting to take a look back at some of the very first items. Number 19. In the very early days of Fortnite, the damage trap that we all know and have a love-hate relationship with didn't even exist yet. I know, is that crazy or what? Back then, we had the wall dynamo and the ceiling zapper, two electricity-based traps which were extremely loud, making them pretty much useless. These traps have been vaulted since the 1.1 patch and aren't likely to return ever. Honestly, Epic, you can keep the electric traps. Just give us the damage traps back, please? Number 18. Before the days of the item shop, cosmetic items were earned through the season shop. Most of the items that were released during this time have since re-released, even the Recon Expert, which just came to the item shop for the first time after being unavailable for over 900 days. But one of the items that, to this day, that people want to see re-released is the Mako Glider. The uncommon item was available in the Season 1 shop after reaching level 25. It did return to the item shop by mistake early 2018, but was quickly removed before too many players were able to pick it up. I hate to say it, and I don't want to be that guy, but it's not even that great looking of a glider, even if it is rare. Number 17. After multiple seasons passed, with the damage trap being the only viable trap in the game, Epic decided to give the idea another shot and released the Poison Dart trap in Season 8. Despite the darts doing so little damage, there was an incredibly long activation time which made it nearly impossible to damage enemies with this trap. This trap was so useless that people would actually drop them from their inventory. Maybe Epic just rage quit and decided to vault all traps after that. Maybe that'll explain why we haven't had a new trap in so long. Number 16. There's only a few items that come close to being as annoying as the mech was. You probably already guessed it, but we're talking about the mounted turret. First introduced in Season 6, this item could be placed on floors and gave players a literal anti-aircraft turret. The problem is that it wasn't really used for aircrafts like it was intended to be, with crazy amounts of damage, infinite ammo, and a very short cooldown time. Going up against this trap almost guaranteed that you'd be sent back to the lobby. Number 15. Before the days of cranking 90s, Epic added an item to the game, which was actually a really cool idea. The Porta Fort. When thrown, this item would spawn a 1x1 tower made out of metal materials, complete with a set of bouncy tires at the bottom for getting to the covered top quickly. While it was a great idea in theory, players didn't use it a lot, and it was even worse on the servers, causing many lag issues due to all of the builds being placed at once. Epic eventually went on to vault the Porta Fort, but boy, does it bring back the nostalgia. Wow! Can you feel that? It's the nostalgia. Number 14. Have you ever felt the need to flex on your noob friends that you're a true OG? Then I've got the perfect skin in mind to pair with your Mako Glider. The Renegade Raider. Also included in the Season 1 shop, players had to reach level 20 before they could even consider purchasing the skin for 1,200 V-Bucks. Unlike nowadays, buying skins wasn't really a common thing in Season 1, meaning very few people ever managed to pick this one up. To this day, despite getting a new style option added in the version 8.10 patch, Renegade Raider has yet to re-release. Number 13. All right. I knew I couldn't mention the Porta Fort without you guys wanting to hear about the Porta Fortress. The Porta Fortress. You know that muscular Doge meme that's trending right now? Well, that's pretty much exactly what the Porta Fortress was to the Porta Fort. Bigger, scarier, and even worse on the Fortnite servers. I'm not sure why Epic thought this one was a good idea after the failure of the Porta Fort, but I'll admit it was super fun to use with those bouncers on the side. Number 12. Introduced in the first content update of Season 10, the Junk Rift was a throwable item which spawned literal junk in the sky and dropped it on your enemy's head. The junk that could spawn from it was pretty random, from dinosaurs to porta potties, but it was pretty lethal. Overall, this item was pretty unhealthy for the competitive nature of the game, as it just wasn't fun to play against. Unless it gets seriously reworked and Epic somehow reintroduces the rifts, I don't think we'll ever see this one unvaulted. Number 11. We've already gone over a few of the promotional skins in Fortnite, but allow me to introduce you to the mother of all exclusives, the Galaxy Skin. The Galaxy Skin was Epic's very first partnership with Samsung to promote the Galaxy Note 9. Arguably, it's also one of the best looking and most sought after skins in the entire game. Considering you had to pay hundreds of dollars to get this skin, very few people were lucky enough to get their hands on it. Samsung continues to release new skins with each new device, so the chances of any exclusive skin returning after the promotion is very unlikely. Who knows though? Maybe we'll get a female version of the Galaxy someday. Number 10. Despite being one of the more forgettable vaulted items, the Storm Flip was a pretty interesting utility item, if you remember, which allowed players to influence the direction and location of the Storm Circle. Just as the Porta Fort was, this was a really cool concept, but it didn't work out in game for a number of reasons. Many players felt that the Storm Flip was a little too unfair, especially in the final phases of the circle, where you could effortlessly ruin your opponent's games. And that's not even mentioning the glitches, which were tied to the item, leading to players taking damage to the Storm despite not even being in it. Number 9. Even if sometimes it feels like Epic dislikes what building has become in the current state of Fortnite, we've got to thank them for vaulting the boombox. If you had the pleasure of not playing during this item's lifespan, consider yourself lucky. Once thrown, the boombox would destroy any builds in its vicinity. Paired with the X4 Stormwing planes, this item was a recipe for disaster and practically made the game unplayable. Number 8. Even if it feels like PlayStation and Samsung get all of the cool exclusive cosmetic items, Xbox players aren't left out entirely. In 2018, Microsoft and Epic teamed up to release the EON Skin, which was bundled alongside the Xbox One. Seeing as it's been 2 years and this was a promotional item, I think we can all agree if you didn't get the EON Skin before, there's no chance of getting it now. Number 7. In seasons 9 and 10, it feels like Epic couldn't really decide which era they were looking to be a part of. Despite the futuristic neo-tilted and impending black hole, the Airstrike item was added to the game. After throwing a gas canister to mark the location, a barrage of 20 missiles would rain down and deal massive amounts of damage to both players and structures. Pretty soon after it was introduced, Epic decided that it just didn't really fit into the game, and it's been vaulted ever since. Number 6. If you haven't noticed the trend already, promotional skins are super rare, especially the Samsung ones. One of the most forgotten exclusives is the Glow skin, which features a hooded character with the purple color scheme, which we see in most Samsung promotions. Since its release, it's been delisted from the Samsung website, meaning that, like the others, it'll probably never be re-released. Number 5. Now, it may seem like the vaulted weapons, which we've discussed, have all been overpowered. So let's take a step back and talk about the 6-shooter, one of the most useless weapons added to Fortnite. If you wanted accuracy, you had to put up with this thing's low damage single fire mode. If you wanted damage, you had to put up with its super inaccurate fan of the hammer mode. Needless to say, the 6-shooter didn't really have a place in Fortnite, thematically or competitively. Number 4. One of the only additions to the game that even comes close to the madness of the mech is the X-Force Stormwing plane. Equipped with turrets, Season 7 introduced Fortnite's first aerial vehicle that could smash through builds and even allowed players to redeploy once it was destroyed. Despite the constant negative feedback, Epic insisted on keeping to the theme of the season and kept the plane in until Season 8. I may be exaggerating a little bit, but those really were some of Fortnite's darkest days. Number 3. As cool as it was, Fortnite's Jetpack item was pretty detrimental to the game's overall competitive nature, as it allowed players to simply fly up to take the high ground and counter building. Luckily, this item only lasted a couple patches before being vaulted and moved entirely to limited time modes. I'm not sure there's even a way Epic could rework this item and unvault it in a way that doesn't ruin the game, but we'd love to hear your ideas in the comments. Number 2. Due to the controversially strict laws in the country, players in China were unable to access the item shop for quite some time. Epic recognized this struggle and created the Penguin and Insignia backblings for players in this region. Unfortunately, for those of you completionists, even if you manage to obtain a Chinese account which owns these items, they can't even be used on North American servers. And your number 1 spot. All the way back in Season 3, Fortnite players got their first taste of an insanely overpowered item, the Guided Missile Launcher. Just as the name implies, this thing was a remote-controlled rocket launcher, something you'd probably see in GTA, and made the game pretty chaotic. Epic tried to make this item a little more forgiving in future updates, but ultimately decided to put it in the vault. One of the good things to come out of the Guided Missile was the fact that you could rocket ride yourself with it, and that made for some pretty nice trick shots and all kinds of interesting ways of play. As I wrap up the video, I want to call to action every single one of you guys to leave a comment down below telling me if any of the items on this list, or not even on this list, any items that have gone away that you would like to see return to Fortnite, what would that item be? Go ahead and comment it down below, and if it gets enough upvotes, maybe if Epic Games checks out this video, we might see it. If you enjoyed this video, check out this other video right over here. This has been Sam from Top 5 Gaming. Click that annotation on screen. Subscribe if you haven't, like the video if you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.